with a pair of shoes belonging to the landlord and request him to do his. The movie then cuts to the present day, and we are introduced to the protagonist, Masters. He has inherited the cobbler shop and works very hard for a living. He's close to a barber named Jimmy, who has a shop right beside Max's. One day, due to the continuous encroachment by luxury real estate owners, some people poor tenants. Although Max doesn't care much about the cause, he finds Carmen cute and demands Max polish his shoes, to which the latter agrees. However, to his misfortune, his electric sewing machine experiences a down to the basement and starts searching for a sewing machine that is still operable. He eventually shoes. After he finishes up, he heads upstairs and innocently tries on the expensive, reverts back to his original form. He then tries on another pair of shoes from his shop, vintage ancestral sewing machine. To test his theory, he closes up shop. Now, Max can finally change his boring life around and become and leaves without paying by changing his appearance. He also changes into a rich master's magical machine. The next morning, while he's working at his shop, a beautiful lace of a plan. Using the magical machine, he changes into Emiliano, who to Max, and he heads straight to Emiliano's apartment, where he finds Taryn revert him back to his original form. He makes various excuses and flees. He approaches his mother and asks her if she wants to be somebody. Sarah replies. The following night, he arranges a romantic dinner for Sarah and also buys a lovely. Is delighted to reunite with her husband after years. She doesn't ask much and takes Sarah to bed and remains by her side until she falls asleep. People gather at the place to commemorate Sarah's life, but Max is too distracted. Despite the tragedy, he returns to work the next day. The first customer is Ludlow. This angers the arrogant customer, and he threatens Max to find the shoes by revenge for the humiliation he just suffered. So, he covertly follows Ludlow. Shortly after, Ludlow reaches his apartment, but swiftly leaves with his gun to get his hands on. There, he encounters Ludlow's angry girlfriend, who is about to, which is loaded with weapons. He picks up a fancy taser gun and attempts to play time. The gangster is shocked to see his doppelganger and immediately starts finds himself tied up to a chair. Soon, Max approaches him as a transgender man. Guys arrive outside the door, who are revealed to be Ludlow's gang members. After he then disguises himself as Ludlow, approaches the gang members and takes him to a secret garage. There, some of his other gang members have imprisoned and beat. After recuperating for a while, he comes out and orders his men to release the culprit, claiming to let Patrick go. Following this, Max and the thugs continue their journey and reach, i.e. Ludlow, and orders him to finish off the target. The latter put him with a gun. The gangster then tries to choke him to death, but Max cleverly inadvertently stabbing Ludlow in the neck with his pointed stilettos. After taking all his statements, some policemen arrive at the apartment with Max, but to convince everyone that he is telling the truth. But due to the lack of evidence, the officer, as of late, he grabs everything and prepares to leave. But just then, Jim no heed to the speech and continues on his way. In the next scene, Max heads to Elaine clearly sees through his lies and orders her men to knock him out. The different ways to execute the transgender man. And hearing this, Max quickly tries. Morning, when he reaches his shop, he notices a flyer that Carmen left for him earlier in his office to discuss the situation. Through her, he learns that Elaine is a wealthy business. The two head to Solomon's place and tell him everything about how Elaine and her men are planning to add. But just then, an idea crosses Max's mind. The next morning, he meets Elaine, immediately agrees and leaves the place to make the necessary arrangements. That evening, his plan in motion. First, he disguises himself as Jeffrey and calls Elaine out. Elsewhere, the real Solomon is with the real Brian. But as soon as they reach hearing this, the cunning woman is in disbelief, as Jeffrey had informed her that Solomon. Enraged, Elaine threatens to kill Solomon and his daughter if he doesn't leave Elaine for her wrongdoings. That evening, after successfully imprisoning Elaine, he hands her over some of Ludlow's watches so that she can sell them and earn dashes into them. When Max wakes up, he finds himself in Jimmy's barbershop. The lad takes off his shoes and changes into his real self. In a shocking turn of himself to keep his family safe, as some really bad people were after him. Abraham then reveals that disguising oneself is in the Simpkin family's blood for them. The movie ends as they talk about the magical sewing machine and how it